It's gonna show all sorts of neat stuff.
Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday, Dane.
You too. Is it Friday?
Yeah, it is.
Ah! Okay, so we should be, there we are. Okay, so I'm gonna close that out. Good morning. Screen sharing has stopped. Of course it stopped. I just closed the screen. Okay. So good morning. You like my new hat, Annie? And Dane, do you like my hat?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. You know what that reminds me of? A farmer's hat.
That's
Kinda
good, because I'm actually a farmer. But
in the islands, like, because I'm from the Philippines, so that's a very typical kind of hat.
oh, great. Oh, now I feel very honored. Hi there. You want to say hi? Okay, there's someone who wants to say a quick greeting.
Hi, hang on, let me put my video on. Hi, how are you, sweet pea?
Oh, you're.
Wave. Hi.
This is one of my little daughters. So, okay. Say bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
What's your name? Annie, she asked what your name was.
My name is Annie. What's your name?
Jane.
Yeah.
Danny?
No, she's Janie.
Janie. Pretty name, Janie. That was my grandmother's name. Very good name. Very strong woman's name.
All right. So,
What's her name?
he's
Ben.
waving. He said Ben. Okay, say bye-bye.
Is that Ben?
That's Ben.
That's Ben. Hi. Good to see you again.
Okay, say bye-bye.
Hi, Ben.
Hi.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi. She's
I used to-
adorable. She's a little.
Wait. Janie, close
Got
the door.
those Shirley Temple locks there. I love it.
Yeah, she's got crazy hair. I try to comb that stuff. Doesn't make much of a difference.
That gives her a unique personality, Makes her unique.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, she's pretty great. I used to, like, when they come in, I wouldn't show them or anything. I'm like, whatever. I guess life goes on. So,
Doesn't matter. It's all good.
yeah. But yeah, she's great. She always likes to try to stop in the middle of stuff, and it's like, okay, I'll show you
Ben,
a little
long time
love.
no
and
see.
then
How
get
you
on your
doing,
way.
Ben? Happy Friday.
Hi, guys.
All right, I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen here, and I'll get this thingy a little more going here. All right, so welcome to Friday Flow. I do this little explanation of what's going on, and then it sort of starts. Not that any of this is particularly not that any of this is particularly formal. All right, Shift F5 is the quick term for jumping into this guy. And then I am. So we're recording, we're live right now. And it's on my channel for Adam's Friday Flow for Entrepreneurs if you'd like to check it out or anything. And if you'd like to send anyone else to it, you can use this for any of your social media stuff, and chat will be pasted in YouTube descriptions if I continue to get to it. And it looks like someone posted already. Annie, you're great. You even beat me to it.
Well, I updated my company website, so I thought I'd share that.
Oh, that's great. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see that in just a moment.
Better improved. My webmaster tells me it's better this time. So I continue to improve it.
Dane, good. Dane, to explain what she just did, she posted on chat her contact information. And this is stuff that could be posted on the YouTube thingy if I get to that. I had big aspirations when I first started this, and I sort of stepped back because I want to get other things in place. But the advantage is that if whatever you post in chat, that tells me which order will go in introductions in just a moment.
Okay.
So engage challenges. Attend at a whim. So there are some people that come back often. There's some people that show up and, enjoyed their time and move on to other things. And there's people that come in and go on and off. So my big thing is just create a space that we can discuss things and get to know folks, but really challenge each other to grow and my theme here is business. So growing your business and make that really connect. So connect your business with a topic, whatever the topic is. The discussion's pretty loose. And note, my aim for this is sort of low maintenance, and I use the slides to help me keep focus.
Okay.
As I
That
am
sounds
now.
great.
Yeah. All right. And then how this may flow. So I'm going to do the intro, then I'm going to do the attendee greeting, and then and I'll go by the order of the chat, and then we're going to have an open discussion on the topic. In the last 10 minutes, there's going to be a thing where I ask for a 10-second quest request help. So quest request. Anyway, that request now has a new meaning to me. Anyway, the thing about quest is everybody is actually after something in their life, right? We may not really
Yeah.
realize what it is unless we do some reflection or we kind of work on it a bit and figure that out. But this is sort of a lighthearted thing for me. Like some people say it's sort of new agey when they hear that, and I'm not aiming for that. The thing is your brain really wants to do something. It's really trying to figure something out, and when you figure out what that is, it helps it so you can continue to focus on that and really get some juicy experiences out of life. And so whatever I can do in 10 seconds, that you can mention that request at the end, and here we go. So welcome to Adam's Friday Flow. Actually, it used to be called Friday Flow. I'm trying to change it to Flow Forum because I might change the day. And I also like to focus on the forum part. So welcome to Adam's Flow Forum with entrepreneurs. The question this week was, where is your focus primarily at, the past, present, or future? And here's some responses I got. So present and future, past for lessons learned, present, the creativity flow, and staying, I'm pretty sure is what that was meant to be. Motivated flow, acquiring partnerships with casinos for my product, and present. And then there was a couple other people that didn't put anything on there, so that's okay. It's kind of we got. So I'm seeing a lot of focus on the present, which is interesting, and I'll tell you a little more about what the implication of all that is in a bit. It's going to have to do with personalities and brain, the way your brain works a little bit, and then we'll break up in discussion. But first off, we're going to start with introducing ourselves. So you're going to put in your chat your intro information. And when you do that, I know that you're ready to talk. Now, it could be anything of like, hi, and I'll just move on and talk to you. Or you could do something like Annie did and actually put up your website. And then what I can do is click on your website and show it while you're talking. The big thing here is you want to put http://www or whatever it is in front of your thing so I can click on it. If you don't do that, I'll give you a hard time so you know how to do that on Zoom, and you'll be all set for the future. All right, so you want it to be publishable as well. So this here is what we're going to talk about when you sort of talk is your name, how your business kind of works, because I'm really big into organizing businesses and organizing what you're after. But also it's helpful for other people to hear it so they kind of understand kind of what you do and how your business works. So it's kind of like your how it works page if you had a website. So what is your quest? And it's usually quest is something you're trying to figure out, like an answer you're aiming for. So I could start with my website, but because Annie was so on top of it, I'm going to start with hers. Are you ready, Annie?
Yeah, well, I'm a real estate entrepreneur and innovator. So I am working on doing real estate community development, sustainable and green and eco-conscious. So it's an eco-conscious real estate community development. And there it is.
Cool.
The rendering of the community.
So when was this rendering made? Because this is new. This is a new thing you've had on your page.
It's very new, right? I finally got an architect to draw my vision on a 30 acres. This is the actual 30 acres that we are going to develop in Valencia County. Please pass the goal. So that's how he came up. I gave him my stick man drawing with boxes and squares and lines.
Yeah.
And this is what he came up with.
That's pretty cool.
So what I can say is I am definitely no architect, but he is the guy who did this.
That's
Yeah, this is from a guy, a local architect company here. I met him through a Paradise Community. There was a Paradise Community Hills meeting, and so I got his name from another architect there. So he was highly recommended, and we've been working ever since. And I was able to get some funding to do the architect rendering. I tried to submit
Wow.
this to NSF. NSF said I didn't follow the rules, so they wanted me to take this out. But hey, at least I was able to show it to them.
Yeah.
They could say yay or nay.
Huh. What do you mean
What?
it didn't follow the rules?
You know, when you apply for a grant or a proposal,
Uh-huh.
they have very specific guidelines, and
Yeah.
you have to follow those guidelines. Because if you don't, they
What-
either sort of come back to you and say, "Hey, we're kicking you out," or "You need to take this out."
What guideline didn't you follow?
National Science Foundation.
I understand. Yes. So specifically, how did this infringe on their plans?
It didn't infringe on the plan. It just wasn't part of the submission. They felt that, I guess, because there's other companies and other innovators who are, you know, they want to even out the playing ground. So in other words, they don't want me having one and somebody else not having one.
I see. So you couldn't have this particular picture because it shows you had some,
It
Possibly.
shows that I'm further along than probably most everybody else.
and they just want to use black and white words.
They just want to use the proposal. We told you 15 pages. We told you the font size, the margin. That's it, right? Okay,
Oh,
we're
okay.
following rules, not a problem.
That's funny. Okay, that's good to know. That's interesting.
Yeah,
then.
so just FYI, if you guys ever plan on doing a proposal pitch for any governing body, be aware that if you go above and beyond the extra, they're not always keen on it. It's not that they're gonna kick you out. It's just that they're gonna say, you know what, this is not part of the requirement, take it out.
Yeah.
That's all.
Dane, where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Los Alamos, New
Ah.
Mexico. Traveled around a lot, ended up in Albuquerque, lived in Colorado,
Yeah,
and I'm actually now back in Albuquerque now. We just
Oh,
moved back
welcome
last
back.
couple months. Oh, thank you.
That's cool.
Thank
I hope to hear more about that. The reason I asked is because I'm trying to decide who I'd explain this to. So Ben, you see that this is New Mexico. Aside from this stuff in the middle, like that's a lot of us. Like you could kind of see the mountains in the background or some whatever. So
Mhm.
a lot of it is just this sort of brown tan stuff with
Mhm.
shrubbery. So
Yeah,
welcome.
Tumbleweeds. There's a lot of tumbleweed here.
Thank you, Siberia. Okay, so great. I'm gonna go to mine, and then Ben also posted his, so he'll go after me. And Dane, you haven't said hi on the chat or posted if you have a website or not. But once you do, then I'll be able to put you in the lineup of like who's talking next. Okay. Now I am doing my own, so I'm gonna flip back over here. So this is a temporary website. It's been updated a little bit. Someone's banging on my garage door. Anyway, it's a little one. So this is kind of what I do. I have someone who's helping with my marketing, so she put this together, and we're working on creating a new website. But this is what I do. I as you can see behind me, I like to work with tools and digital stuff, and I like to get people's ideas happening. And so the way I do that is I'm oxygen for their organizing. It could involve beans and plants and stuff, but see how these have these little labels on them and all that nice stuff? I could do that. That's not my jig. All right, but that's okay. You can call me up. We can do a little 20-minute discovery call, that kind of stuff. These are past shows. Here's some ratings, which I need to go and get somebody more recent. And here's my big deal. Kind of tells you all about that. But yeah, I like to make it so other people's ideas happen, and I love to make it. Love to get into the nitty gritty of how your stuff works to help that move forward. That is that. So and the quest I'm after is really that. Is like I like to collaborate with people to figure out how this life works and how we can move forward and make some cool stuff happen. So that's what I'm gonna do with that. All right, Ben.
Hey, what's up, Adam?
Hi, Ben.
Hi. So what's new is that I've had testimonials. So I wanted them up front and center So that's one new thing that's there. So I have 3 testimonials that are there, plus my how to wear your beanie sleeper. Also, I've decided, I mean, I've been doing this since the beginning, I'm in a sense, and that's, excuse me, I'm completely wholesale. I don't do any retail from my site. So I got rid of that aspect of it. And now you can just link to whomever you want to buy beanie sleeper from. And that's actually much better. So I just
Really?
focus more on the wholesale. Mhm.
That
Oh, hey,
sounds
can
like
you
a,
slow that down? Can I see it again?
which part?
Scroll down, Adam. It's kind of cute.
Yeah, which part you like want to see?
Beanie sleepers.
Yeah, beanie sleeper is this guy.
Does it come in different colors?
It does. So it comes in a light sky blue and a crimson red and a charcoal gray. Those are the 3 colors for this first batch. So Beanie Sleeper, it's a lightweight beanie with an integrated sleep mask that blocks light and keeps your head warm and comfy without overheating. And my early adopters and my primary customers are people who are going through chemotherapy and or other infusion therapies. And I mean, people just for regular sleep, they buy it too. From one of my retailers is Fine Pillow. This gentleman, he uses it when he gets migraines.
Oh,
Yeah, so Stephanie, the first woman, she uses it because there's just way too much light in her room and she needs to sleep at weird hours during the day. And then my other, and I have a few more testimonials that are coming online. I just clean them up and, make them look pretty.
nice.
Thanks.
There's the crimson red. There's the charcoal gray.
And there's
And
some baby blue.
And she has the light sky blue. Yeah. There'll be my next batch. I'll have 4 colors for those. And this is a one size fits most, but this next batch that's coming in will be 4 colors, 4 sizes in each color.
Wow. Yeah, because I wear an extra large motorcycle helmet. So I guess that.
Well, this fits different than a motorcycle helmet. That's for sure. You'll probably fit in the regular one. So.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you'll fit in the regular one.
That's great. Well, thank you, Ben.
Yeah, thank you.
And Dane.
Yes.
Dane.
So
yeah, go for it.
All right. Actually, it's kind of funny. I'm actually a full stack web designer, and I just opened business. I just got my business last week, and I have a government contract. So this whole week, I've actually had to fill up a bunch of paperwork so I can work with Sandia, and hopefully, well, actually, they want me to work there for 30 hours a week. So I got that take. Now I'm trying to figure out how to build a full stack side during my time. It's kind of embarrassing to have a website up yet, but it's one of those things that things happen so fast. I'm literally drinking from a fire hose right now, trying to get everything done and set in place for that one contract. But then moving forward, I definitely want to get into doing full stack web design for medium to small businesses. And I also have some good product ideas that I want to be able to actually bring to fertility and be able to sell those along with my full stack web design websites. So that's where I'm at right now. And one of the reasons I joined up with you guys is that there's so much stuff I do not know. I know how to program. I know how to do hardware design. But this, the business side, literally, I feel like I'm spending most of my time running around in circles, trying to get stuff done. So that's where I'm at right now.
That's great. Well, thanks for joining. Yeah, that's you got some exciting things going on. And do you guys have any advice for someone starting a new business?
Well,
Annie or Ben?
ask for help, Dane. That's rule number 1, because you cannot do things alone. There's no way. Yeah. Even my proposal that took a full year to complete, I can tell you I didn't do it alone. I was driving it. I was, but I was getting help. So don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're running around like with your head cut off, that's normal.
Yeah.
Let me just start there.
If you have a lot to do, that means you're alive.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's a good problem to have, but to that point, it's a problem you have to overcome, right?
Yes.
So ask for help.
Yes.
I have a couple of books I would suggest reading if you haven't already. And the first is by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. I believe that with my businesses, it's always been better to really find out the reason why I'm doing something so that I could really kind of create the business around that, because that's where you're the most like passionate. So find out why you're doing it. That's a great book. Also, if you already know why you're doing it, even though I still believe read that book, there's another book I recommend called The Pumpkin Plan by Michael Micklowitz. And that tells you how to become the biggest pumpkin in your patch. So how to be the best at what you're doing. It's mostly about finding your niche and kind of just like making that one thing the best it can be before branching out into 1,000 other things. So those would be the two things I recommend.
Okay. Start With Why and Pumpkin Plan.
The Pumpkin Plan. Yeah. Start With Why is an amazing, amazing book.
Okay.
Also, one of the techniques I use, if I may share, is when you make a list of your priorities and you're saying, okay, I've got 150 million things I've got to do, you have to ask the critical question, what is it that, right? Is it something that is a part for the future? Is this really a priority? Is this really a need? Or is it just something, is it just busy work? So, and only you can define that, right? Am I just being busy for the sake of being busy, or is there a purpose to what I'm doing?
Yeah, and actually my first startup is I'm trying to get all the building blocks in place. So stuff that I'm not really excited about doing becomes automatic. Stuff like, billing, hiring an actual person to help with my taxes, stuff like that, the nitty gritty stuff that, I'm not so passionate about, but needs to be done, but kind of make that an automatic thing. That way I can, I can leave it alone kind of. I have to watch it, but I don't have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis so much. And then I can actually follow stuff that I love. I love to do programming. I love to do problem solving with hardware, all that fun stuff. So right now I'm trying to focus on trying to get those building blocks into place. So, here in a couple of weeks, I can just do stuff that I really love. And then only like 10% of the time I have to do stuff that's like, oh, okay, that's how you run a business type of stuff. Sending out
Right.
invoices, making sure taxes are, in the right order and all that fun stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah, that's the financial stuff is really a pain. So, what have you done about finding somebody to work with that on you?
Actually, I have an accountant that I got recommended from 2 other friends that run their own business. So I'm actually setting up a meeting with him, hopefully on Monday or Tuesday of next week, so we can get everything set up into place and kind of show him my business. We're filing quarterly, all that other fun stuff, and what I need to get to him to get his job easier, so we don't run into any problems. So anywhere from installing QuickBooks or a version of QuickBooks, and then be able to hand that stuff right off to him. So
yeah, the program I use is Wave. And I got started on that from a gal that sometimes shows up on here, Lisa McGarry. She's in the area, grew up here, moved to Texas, started a business of financial assisting, like getting people really into what they're doing. And then she moved back here recently. So that's there's another person. Did you have anyone else, Annie, or?
No. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Cool. And feel free to reach out to any of us if you need. If there's something we can do, certainly.
Excellent.
So one of the things you mentioned, Annie, actually kind of leads in today too, Dane, is thinking about future, past, or present. And when we get lost in the details, we're actually doing a lot of this present stuff. I didn't put it like in the. Okay, anyway, so that's the details of the moment is the present, whereas the future is often what can help lead us into stuff. And I actually did this little thing today, this little form that I'm kind of designing and working with my clients with that helps us sort of focus on the future and figuring out what we're doing in the present based on, what our current story is. But the main reason why that I wanted to do this topic was because I'm starting to get and understand this way of thinking about the brain called an Enneagram. And I don't know if you guys ever heard of Enneagrams before?
Enneagrams I have.
Dane?
I have.
I have not.
Okay, so I'll put up some visuals, but they're not exactly that helpful. So there's a lot of personality sort of tests of out there, and they can be helpful, especially to make conversations happen. But things have also been debunked, and I'm just entering an understanding of a lot of what some of the stuff does, but I've also been seeing a lot of how it's been handy for folks. So if I go back to this screen, I'll pull up a page for Enneagram. And this is the images that you often will see, but this particular shape inside of it isn't actually very helpful. According to the sources that I've been reading up on and listening to recently, that this the 9 types are very helpful. Brain types is what it is. They call them personality types, many people do, and it does affect your personality. But one of the things about this particular system is it's a compilation of a lot of psychologists' work and also neuroscience. So they're trying to figure out what the connections are. And so my interpretation of, or my introduction to this and understanding of what this is each of these types kind of represent a different wiring in your brain, as opposed to like personality tests and stuff. They just kind of tell you what you're feeling at the moment, or they kind of tell you, what your sort of disposition is and a general situation. But this actually tells you kind of the motivators that are in your brain and kind of how it all works together. And there's a whole bunch of other things that links to, as far as the way your brain would work. That said, even though you might be specifically one particularly, then you have a wing, which is like the secondary thing that you often, your brain is also slightly wired in that direction, because it's not very specific. And so there's a whole bunch of variants all around the circle here. And then on top of that, you're connected to all these other types in some way. It's just one of these is the way you're more hardwired. You have more neurons running to that particular system path, if that makes sense. Now, I say all this because that's what I've understood and what I've heard. And that's kind of the background. And so I'm just kind of dipping into it. But the past, present, and future is kind of a neat way that you can simplify this, because there are 3 different types of people or brain types in here that focus on the past, or they focus on the future, or they focus on the present. And that doesn't mean all the time, but it means usually. And it affects the way you approach your world. And then by knowing that, it can help you, figure out where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are, all that good stuff. And then sort of try and work with that and not be so frustrated when you feel like you keep on doing the same thing a certain way and you really want to do something else. You just have to recognize you need to put a few more helps in to get to another part of the way the brain works. So that's my quick overview and understanding my my fresh level of it. So that's why I brought it up for discussion and to talk about some of this with you. So that's the Enneagram. But so when we're talking about this past, present, future sort of brain type, this is in the background of what we're talking about, but we won't look at that again. Unless we want to, but it's not really my focus. So the quest I have here is to find out more about or discuss this more and see how other people have noticed this in their own worlds. And the people that are involved in this are myself. There's a lady named Joycelyn Campbell, which I often mention because she's there's business coaches out there, and I thought that's what I was hiring her for, but it turns out she's actually a cognitive coach, or a metacognitive coach. So that just means that she thinks about how you think, or neuroscience stuff is really her focus. And so she does all kinds of research and stuff on that, and then does little groups meetings and stuff with people to kind of develop her understanding, as well as help other people move along by discussing stuff. And so Joycelyn Campbell, oh, what is this? Do you see this beanie sleeper thing pop up here? Okay, that's weird. Anyway, I'm actually going to go back to sharing the other screen because I realized I could probably give her website a glance, so you know who I'm talking about. It's farther to go is her company, her business, or whatever. And it was interesting because I was having a discussion with her the other day about it, and she so this is her logo, and it's based on like your brain is made up of two major parts, and this will come in important in a moment. Is you have your executive system and you have your unconscious system, and your unconscious system's constantly running, whereas your executive system shuts down all the time. It kind of like goes to rest, and you don't remember half the things you did. Like, trying to think of anything today that I might have forgotten already. But for instance, I'm trying to remember to have my phone in my pocket because I often leave it places. And like, why am I forgetting it somewhere? Well, it's because my unconscious is going and my executive system is not focused on where my phone is. So I'm working on a system to kind of remember where it is and get it in my pocket again. But that's kind of the background of it. So that's Joycelyn. I'm going to go back to this. Okay. So those are people involved, and the system is, of course, your brain. So what's this? Oh, okay. So now I'm going to get a discussion part, and I'm going to escape out of this. Okay, that didn't work how I wanted it to, but that's cool. So the past, present, and future, there are three different major ways that you kind of think about things. And there's some nifty names for these. So if you're thinking about the past all the time, it's like a narrator. And that's where your unconscious part of your brain likes to be. It likes to say, this is who I am, this is what I do. This, if I continue to do this, I won't have to save energy. So Dane, you have like, you do websites, for instance, right?
Yes.
And when you're developing that, you're trying to make people go along the path you want them to most easily, right?
Yes. A nice flow to the website.
Right. So your brain is doing something similar. Is it's trying to make it so you save time and energy to get to the things that you've been telling your brain you do. So if I get up in the morning real quick and easy, then that's something that my brain tells me this is what Adam does. But if I tend to get up in the morning and say like, well, I could lay here a little longer and keep the baby sleeping so that my wife can do this other thing. If I continue to do that, then my body's going to try and save me energy and just shortcut to that approach as opposed to thinking about it. And then it'll feed my executive system those ideas. And so that's kind of what's going on with our systems. And the narrator really has a lot of focus in that area. They're really comfortable with this, like thinking about the things I usually do. And so that can be good. Well, all of these can be good, and they also have their flip sides. So just because I talk about problems with one doesn't mean it's that bad. It just means those are the things you want to think about if this is what you tend to do. But often someone who has a brain type that really focuses in the past, like their executive system does or whatever, I'm not actually sure about all of these things. But if you focus in the past, you're often trying to create the story of who you are. You like to try and keep consistency of everything you're doing. And then that's one type. In fact, if you often hear in stories, it's often the hero story is someone who's a narrator mindset. They want to be what they are. They want to stay with their family. They want to stay home. They want to, just stay, if they possibly live in the slums in the storyline or whatever. They're just good with that. They don't want to like break out and change the world. They don't want to do all these other things. They just want what it is. And they're good with that, and that's what they try and stay in. And then they're forced into being something amazing because, the world is just at them. And that's the narrator. That's kind of the narrator mindset, is that I am forced to change because the world impels it on me. Whereas someone who's focused on the present, and that term for this is architect. And often architects behave in this way because they're thinking about how the environment is actually developed in order to encourage a certain feeling in the moment, encourage a certain way of working in the moment. And they are really focused on how do things work now. And Annie, when you're talking about getting lost in the details, that's an architect sort of thing to do. You get lost in these little bits and pieces because, and this is a big problem I have, So this is my major brain type. Is I like to talk about the little details and figure out how these little things work and all that. Another problem that we have is often when we think about it, we think it's also done. And as a weird thing is, after we thought about it, we don't have to do anything because it's already figured out. All right, we're good. Then the next step comes in of actually doing the thing we thought up. So that's one of our struggles. But it's really helpful also to be able to do that. Focus on like the little details of the moment.
Yeah, we're a little ADD, if you will, all of us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you can all of these. These all can lead to some sort of distraction. And then there's the trickster. That's the future thinking brain type. And so the trickster does is they really focus on the things they're interested in. They're always thinking about something. And so the reason this is kind of interesting about as a trickster, so going back to the story format, if you compare it to the hero story, the trickster is like Coyote, most of the clowns, that sort of thing. These characters that are in the story, or basically they could be the main character, but they rarely are because for some reason people don't like to do that story as much. But they kind of make the things change. They make change happen because of the things they're doing, and that's why they're tricksters. And this is appropriate to our brain because we like to be in our unconscious. They're not subconscious. Subconscious does not exist in this understanding of the brain. Unconscious is just the way your body works in order to save you energy. And so a trickster says, okay, we're not trying to save energy. We're trying to make something happen. And so it's tricking us by giving us some sort of thing that we desire out there that we're trying to go after and somehow get us to do that thing. I think of the bird that had the cheese in its mouth, the crow, and then the fox got it to sing in order to drop the cheese so the fox could have the cheese. And that's kind of, it tricked it in order to drop the cheese and make music. So that makes it seem like a bad thing. But, the reason that we're doing what we're doing is because we want to make a difference. We want to change something in our world. And like Dane, you're finding out, it's really hard to shift the whole way we're doing stuff into like thinking like a business and how to make the business work and how to make that happen. And also then focus on why I'm doing that. And I'm pretty sure no one's doing it just for the money. That's just a handy tool for making the things happen that we want to have happen.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. So there are people that actually that's their norm, is to think about things that they want, and then they just continue to bumble through the world and get head for that stuff. And that is a really great thing sometimes.
Hey, that's how innovation happens.
Right. So with that brief description, which one of those do you guys seem to recognize the most in yourselves?
I think in my life, I've done all three at least one time in my life. And I probably will continue occasionally, but as long as being cognitive is the most important thing, to realize like, whoa, I'm doing this. I've been down this path before. Mm-hmm. We know where this is going to lead. We need to change that up and be acting more present instead of being like, and act on the world compared to hoping that my dreams and hopes will come true if I just sit there and the world will act upon me.
Yeah.
And be able to break through that, go, no, I need to make the step to the front door and realize that, success is never linear. It's a bee flying around trying to find a flower. That's the path it usually takes. But being able to realize that and go, okay, and realize that, hey, if I'm that bird and I happen to sing and I drop the bird or drop the bread, well, at least I sung for a little bit. I just need to find some more bread later down the road. So that kind of learning from your mistakes and stuff and moving forward. I guess I could see all three of those happening in my lifetime. Just trying to recognize when it starts to happen and what I need to do to correct some of those. So.
Yeah. And that is big. And so you don't think, like, if you were to guess what your primary or your secondary would be, and this is the case, is most people have a primary one and a secondary. Few people have like a strong balance between two secondaries. And few people have just a really strong first, and the secondaries almost don't exist. And that has to do with if they're a compilation of different brain types that actually lean towards one of these particular angles. But so if you were to take a guess, which do you think is the usual? Like, yes, you got a good point there that we often do use them all, but which ones do you use more often?
I use actually present and future the most.
I'd expect, yeah. That seems pretty common for an entrepreneur sort of folk. So that's,
Yep, I'm with Dana on that one. I'm
yeah.
the same, but probably for me, future more than present. Future
Oh.
first, present next.
Okay, good. See, I'm the other way around. I know I'm very much into the present. I like to really dabble into things. I'm assuming since you like web developing, Dane, that you also probably are pretty strong in the present because it's sort of an architecture thing to create a system that leads people through a certain series of steps. But I could be wrong.
No,
The
yes, correct.
the thing about people that are more trickster brain, they seem really disciplined. It's sort of funny, but that is like it's a facade that they put on because what it is they're focused on what they want, and they say this is to get to this to get to this in order to get to the spot they're trying to get to. Whereas architects, we can be really disciplined, but we may not be heading anywhere. So that's one of
Sorry,
the
you may be disciplined, but what was the last part, Adam?
we may not be heading anywhere.
Oh,
Yeah. So a couple things I've done with this particular the Flow forum is there's been times I've been dallying around in the back with these slides and stuff that I've got going on. Hi, Gwen. Welcome. And I've been dealing with these slides and stuff, like getting ready, and I'm like tweaking things and making them work a little better and stuff. And then I forget, like the whole reason I wanted to do this was because I wanted to talk about this topic or I wanted to go a certain way and all that kind of stuff. So I get real lost in the little bits and pieces in the place I'm at.
you get sidetracked, eh?
Yeah, I lose my hat, so I use this this other hat, that kind of thing.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so those are kind of the neat things there. Let's see here now. Okay, so going back to my thing here. So, oh, I didn't share the screen. So I also try to take notes here, just to kind of share up what's going on. And so we only have about 8 more minutes to discuss stuff before we go to the 10-second ask time. But so we've got in the group here, we have 2 people who think, well, we've got, there was a lot of people that talked about present is the big focus back here in the questions thing right here. So present and future was mentioned, but then present. And this one, creativity, is interesting because creativity and motivation. Motivation is usually more about future. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but how if you're motivating yourself for something, then it's often because you're thinking about the future, but it could be just because you're working with your particular system. So if I'm often like thinking about the past and trying to connect everything, then it might be just motivating to have something that involves that. And that's good to know too, because then you recognize, for instance, I really enjoy messing around with the details of things. But I don't like so much shifting to a new set of things that I'm trying to figure out the details on because of my primary architect personality. And then creativity is kind of interesting too, because I can create in that moment, but am I creating something new or am I creating what exactly, right? Acquiring partnerships. So this is probably a very forward, future kind of a focused person, because and I'm just going by really small details. You're the one that's going to know best yourself, because like I said, each person can look, or each brain type can look like what you'd think another brain type would be. But in my head, that's where I know what's actually happening. And if you're really good at this, people start to recognize most folks and be able to say, this is probably where you're at. And then you're the one that's going to be able to confirm that, unless they do a brain scan. And that's just not something we tend to do. So a lot of present. Okay, so Annie, can you see any particular advantages of these types? Like, truth is, I'm not really sure. This is an example. I created the structure. All this stuff was going to happen, and then I realized, wait, I have no idea where I'm going with this. Classic architect thing to do. So, where do you think, since you're future focused, where do you think the discussion would go from here? What's something that's juicy and exciting for you?
Yeah, how does this correlate to our businesses and our personal business and personal situation or life, if you will?
Yeah. That's a great question. Our business.
To our life, period. It could be business or personal,
Yeah.
or both.
And
Sometimes
as
there's really no differentiating the two.
yeah, and Dane, as you pointed out,
When you're an entrepreneur, there's no delineation. We're not clocking in into an 8 to 5 job. It's pretty much we live and work and think about this stuff. At least for me, that's how it is. It's very much integrated.
that's good. So the as Ben pointed out, or Dane pointed out, we tend to we actually work with all these all happen in our world, and we do want to kind of keep a hold of them, or at least kind of jump around a little bit. And I might be biased, but I particularly think jumping between architect and trickster is important, because you already have a huge part of your brain. 95% of your brain is the unconscious, they say in today. Back when there was a book called Power of Habit, how many of you guys have heard about that one?
The power of what?
Power of Habit?
Never heard of the book. Thank you.
Dane, you haven't?
No, I have not.
Okay, I'll show it real quick on my screen here. But back when this book was written, which was like early 2000s, 2008 or something, the Power of Habit, at that point, science was saying that about 40% of our brain, of what we do, was unconscious. Now, I mean, I'm sure you could probably find any scientist that agrees with you, but apparently nowadays, Charles Duhigg, that's the author. So the Power of Habit is this book that talks about like how we work with basically our unconscious and get it on gear for creating habits. And it has to do, you create a cue, you realize what the cue is, the behavior you want, and then what the reward is, and that all creates a craving. And so that's how you create habits. So if you get that book, it'll kind of talk you through some of that. But habits are so dynamic and so different. They're related, like for instance, my phone thing, having my phone in my pocket, that's a particularly difficult habit because it has to do with so many different situations that it doesn't like simplify. But the reason I brought that up was because that's a book that mentions the amount of unconscious versus conscious stuff that we do. And we tend to focus a lot. We tend to think, especially today's age, we like to think that our executive system has a huge power over what we're doing, and it does, but it doesn't like we're not using it as much as we think we are. So today they say instead of 40% being unconscious, 95% of what you do. What is that? Pushing shift. 95% is actually unconscious. And so that leaves only 5% for conscious. And so somehow with this bit of unconscious, I'm also not good at spelling in case you couldn't figure that out. With this bit of conscious stuff we have, we can start creating things in our world that sort of pushes us to keep focus on stuff. And for future and present focused, the big thing I have is I keep on getting lost in the details instead of like looking up what am I after and then what am I doing? What am I after and what am I doing? So like Ben mentioned the why with Simon Sinek, and he doesn't use it quite as strictly as Joycelyn does. She has a particular different types of whys. There's the big picture. There's juicy desired outcomes, which is like the things you're working on in the moment. Yeah, so like being able to look back and forth is one of the big things I try to work with myself and with my clients, to sort of jump back between what am I after and what am I doing? And so that's, what are some things that you guys use to do that?
Say the
Or have you
question again, Adam?
have you guys recognized that as a problem, that the ability of jumping back from what you're doing to why you're doing it?
I've done that on several different occasions.
Yeah, do you have a particular story?
Not offhand, but I caught myself. It's like, well, whoa, why am I doing this? This doesn't make any sense. But it was kind of something that I gotten so used to, and kind of, I guess, habit wise, kind of like stops. It's like I'm walking down this path. I've done it before, and it's because it's become so familiar that my brain just automatically does it. And it's like, wait a minute, why am I actually doing this? Why am I going down this path? And kind of stop myself. And it's like, well, maybe I should backtrack and maybe think about why I'm heading down this again. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. And that's a, so it's just something you just sort of recognize in the moment. You could you kind of rethink it.
Yeah.
Gwen, do you have any time that you've done anything like that? You can jump in if
When
you.
you're on mute.
All right. Well, if she's able to jump in, you can just jump in a moment, Gwen. Just say hi. So Annie, how about you? Are there times you recognize that you're focusing more on the why or the what?
Well, it really depends. Yeah, that's very true.
How
At
do
any
you?
given point in time, you
And-
know, you're jumping back and forth, which is, as an entrepreneur, that's very typical or normal, I should say.
Yeah. So Dane pointed out that he notices it just in the moment and does something about it. Do you have any tools or anything that you use to kind of make sure that you're able to do both?
One of the tools I use is process of elimination. Right? If I'm
Oh.
doing something and I'm like, okay, is this getting me closer to where I need to go? Or is it a step in the right direction? So that's the kind of critical thinking part. You're analyzing it and you're saying, okay, if I'm just sort of, you know, in that wheel and I keep spinning the wheel and not going anywhere, then at that point I get off that wheel. At some point I do.
So say that again. What was the tool you use?
It's a process of elimination is one of the tools and technique that I use. Right. So if I'm doing something, okay, am I making progress? And is this progress the right progress or the appropriate progress to what I'm trying to achieve or not? So it's a yes or a no, right? So you find the yes or no and you kind of put them in the buckets. Okay, it goes in the yes pile, it goes in the no pile. Is it still a maybe? And maybe it is a maybe. You don't know.
So I want to catch the word you used because I have another word in my mind. Am I making progress, and is it
the right progress versus the right progress and appropriate progress, if you will? I'm not going to say right because there's really no right or wrong. Is it appropriate to what you're trying to achieve?
okay?
If you have a goal X, okay, is this activity that I'm doing or whatever I'm eliminating, is it for that? Is it a step towards that or not? It's a yes or no. Or
And
maybe
just-
it's a maybe.
And as a point, when you talk about the right way of doing something, that's
Mhm.
often an architect word. Because architect what we're often trying to do is we're trying to level everything out and figure out what the best way to do something is. That's the right way. Whereas the trickster is trying to figure out, does it get to what they want? So right is more of an architect word. Appropriate is more of a trickster word, because like
It's
appropriate
interesting that I
to
managed to blend both.
yeah. So appropriate is usually focusing more on, does it get the thing I want? Whereas right is somehow, I think that there is a correct way, and this is the way to do it. And am I doing that? And I'll waste a lot of time trying to figure out the correct way when I could just go ahead and move forward. So those are some cool tools. And this little trick itself is just doing this what, why, what. What I'd like to say that we do is we do the why, what, why, but the why is often a little elusive to us. We can always say what it is we're doing at the moment. So instead, we can go from the what, why, what. and it's kind of keeping a balance between your purpose-driven stuff to actually doing something. So productivity versus experimentation. So those are some
Right.
cool tools that we got on there.
Right.
Uh,
And testing.
And now,
Testing in small
Yes.
increments. Sometimes you have to test it to
Right.
prove your theory or your process of elimination, right? And say, okay, let me test this out. And I'll give you an example. One example I had yesterday, I was trying to configure my Android phone for my business email to have it in there. And it wasn't working. So my webmaster, I said, hey, why is the settings that you have on the instructions, it doesn't work. I'm not getting, there's a problem with the email configuration.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what to tell me. So I said, you know what? Let me test this out. I'll figure it out. Then I'll let you know. You know what? Within 15 minutes, I solved my problem.
that's great. Yeah, tests can be very helpful. So, and it's funny because I think the test is more of a what am I thinking? Person, more of a trickster thing, whereas just
gotcha.
logically trying to
POC.
think it out is more of an architect thing. I think so. All right, so I'm gonna do is now we're gonna do the 10 seconds of how we can help advance you and your quest. Some examples I put kind of there. Think of those things. So Annie, do you have anything, a 10-second thing that I or anyone else here or everyone else here could do that would help you with your quest?
Yeah, I'm also trying to get connected. Well, 10-second ask. Most of my ask is not 10 seconds. Hey, I'd like feedback on my website. The new
Okay.
thing, much better than before, wasn't that? I don't know.
Yeah, I like the the
rendering?
picture in there. That helps. It gives it more as opposed to the pixelated thing. Dane, what'd you think of her website?
Actually, I had it pulled up here. I'm going to go back and look at it.
Dan, can you speak up? I can't hear you. Speak
Oh,
up
I'm
a little
sorry.
bit.
Yeah, sorry. I got an air conditioning running in my background too. I haven't seen it previously. I do like the layout because basically it speaks to you going, this is what I do and these are what plans I have. It just like jumps out at you, kind of brings you in. And I kind of actually like that a little bit.
So if you had criticism, what would be the criticism?
Or improvement. I don't want to say criticism. I'd like suggestions for improvements.
Yeah.
The wording underneath, I would make it a little more centered, unless you're trying to do a sidebar with that. I'd actually have to go through some of this stuff, but
No, that's good. That's enough because that's 10 seconds. So you
oh,
did
okay,
your
sorry.
bit. No,
Thank you.
you're doing great. I just wanted to let you know that you'd accomplished it. If you guys want to talk more about it, you can. But is that a drone up here? Do you see the screen
Yes,
I'm looking
it
at?
is.
Do you see
It's
my
a drone,
mouse?
right?
Oh, okay.
it's
All
a
right.
drone.
Cool. All right, Dane. What's something we 10 seconds that would help you with your quest?
Oh, help me network. That is something I'm not very good at.
So we've got some ideas here. Have you ever been to 1 Million Cups?
Yes, I have.
How often?
I've been twice. I went one about 3 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and then I just went to one this week.
Good.
So,
Are they in person again already? I've been kind of out of
Yes,
touch.
they are.
yeah, they're both.
Combination. It's a hybrid.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay. That's good. And then, so how did that go for you?
Good, good. I met up with Sonia again. I hadn't seen her in about a year or so.
Uh-huh.
So it was kind of good to kind of reconnect with her. Met one individual. Saw someone there that I want to make contact with. So I'm planning on next time actually sitting down and talking with him. So
Yeah. Any advice on networking?
Oh, I do virtual networking. I mean, I just got off of a global real estate conference out of Florida. So, and I made a lot of connections. I made about 50 connections from that hopefully I can do some real estate deals with investors mostly.
Yeah.
So since I'm in a real estate space and investing, that's kind of where I tend to focus. And then in addition to that, I'm doing the sustainability and the eco-conscious lifestyle. So any networking in that space, I try to get plugged in.
That's good. Another piece of advice I'll give you. So what I take from Annie is focusing on what your niches are and figuring out how to make creative combinations of those. She's globally thinking about real estate and ecological things. So Dane, I focus. I haven't done much with it, so I won't go that direction. but I'll hoping to get more niched down myself. And that doesn't mean I'm not open to other things. It just means that I have a focus when I'm having a conversation. And this goes back to the why, what, why thing, is because if I have the why and people can see I'm like, I've got committed to something and I'm like heading somewhere, they're more likely to buy into what I'm after, as opposed to someone's just like, well, whatever you want, I can do it. You know, that doesn't sell as well. Also, Dane, when you're doing networking, if you don't have business cards, have a quick way people can get a hold of it. And you can make an electric business card. But also, for instance, on the chat here, I only have your name. I don't have how I could get
Okay.
someone in contact with you. So, especially if you're invited to put your information on, put the stuff you really want people to contact you through. And have it
Okay.
ready. You can have like a little sticky note or Word document you always open up when you're on a video call, and you just copy and paste it.
Okay.
Great. Gwen, did you have anything for your 10-second ask? Okay, I'm not too sure if she just doesn't have stuff lined up or not, but thank you guys for coming
know.
today. Next week, the topic is going to be should you find or choose your way? And that's kind of a fun thing for me. And keep the sparks flowing.
Okay,
Well, thank
Thanks,
you so
Adam.
much.
My privilege. Nice meeting you, Dane. Thank you,
Yes,
Annie.
there you go.
nice to meet you, Dane.
Nice to meet you too.
Later.
I saw your LinkedIn account, so I'll send you a connection. So,
Yeah, send me a connection, right? And if you want to do a 15-minute conversation, just sort of get to know each other kind of session,
okay.
that's fine. Let me know.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Dane.
You guys have a great rest of your week.
Hi,
You
Gwen.
too.
Sorry, but we didn't hear from you. We would have loved to have heard from you, Gwen, but hopefully you'll come back soon. Thank you.
What- Gwen was the only person that came last week, so I'm happy to see you again, Gwen. Always like extra trick to figure out how to go. I found it though. See you, Annie.
All right, see you, Adam. Bye.
Oh, and congratulations on a new website too, or new
Well,
parts. It
Updated, not new. It's not new. It's just
Yeah.
updated
looks better.
with lots of better information. I had more to update, so it's really good. Thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate that.
Oh, my
I really
privilege.
do.
Yeah.
Right, even my webmaster said, I really like what you did. You know, it's better than what you had before. I said,
Yeah.
well, that's the whole goal, was to keep improving.
Right, and you had your rough launch, which is important, right? You just
Right,
continue.
I
to
had my
relaunch.
presence. I'm like,
If
okay,
you're not-
let me just get started and then figure out
And
my
if you're
next
not
move.
if you're not embarrassed about your first launch, then you started too late.
Right. So if I figured, well, okay, I'll
That's what I've
improve this over time. And I'm going to continue to improve it. And it's right, it's getting there.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm a freaking programmer. I'm
Yeah.
always gonna try and improve things. Always. So past, present,
That's
future.
excellent.